My name is Marnik Klaassen and welcome to another edition of Light Talk. In this edition I would like to share with you an interview that I did with Daria Chirimisina, who heads the Creative Lighting Design Department of the ITMO University in St. Petersburg, which is one of the largest state-run universities in Russia. As part of the program that she offers to her students, she interviews whenever she can lighting experts, lighting designers around the world in order to share that experience that they have with her students. So I met with her in PLDC in Rotterdam last year, and she interviewed me and asked me questions specifically about the new digital age that we are facing and how that impacts on our lighting design profession. She asked me questions about how the IoT and all that impacts on the future livability of cities. So I shared my thoughts, and she recently sent me the summary of our interview, which I'm happy to share with you today. Today we're in Rotterdam at the Professional Lighting Designers Convention, where I'll be speaking later today about the lighting design of things and how we integrate IoT and digital platforms into lighting. So I think that will probably be of interest for this subject.
And the first question is, what is a comfortable lighting environment in a city through your experience in IoT in the digital era?
Okay, so this is quite a complex question, obviously. I'm a lighting designer that doesn't really like to see the lights. I like to see what lights up, which means I'm a big supporter of concealed lighting, or lighting that has minimal glare and brightness but lights up the environment. That's from the lighting design point of view. From a digital point of view, in the era of IoT, what we need to understand now is what are people's needs, what make people enjoy their environment and the spaces that they're in. So it is quite important to understand that, and now with the digital data platforms that exist and can be integrated in lighting, as a lighting designer I'm looking at how we can integrate that, right? It's important to understand how these data infrastructures are integrated, number one, but secondly, how they will be collecting data about how people use the spaces, how people use their environments, what things they like, what things they prefer. And that data is then fed back and then drives the environment. So it can be about adjusting lighting levels to events, or to heavy presence or low presence. It's about personalization. We talk a lot about going from a mass market to the market of one, where you look at creating an environment that is specific for one individual person. Now, I do appreciate that in a city it's not that easy, because there's a lot of people walking around, but there are ways to personalize lighting, and I think that's one of the things that we have to look for, is how can we personalize, maybe not only for individuals, but maybe for groups of people that are doing certain events, etc., using spaces and public spaces in certain ways to adjust that. It can be adjusted to the functions that people perform in that area, whether it's a playground or a thoroughfare or other areas. But it can also be the time of the day. We can have early evening, we can have late evening, and maybe even during the day if it's bad weather. So the adjustment of lighting to personal needs as much as possible is important. And I want to elaborate a bit further. It's not only from the point of view of the consumer, the public. It's also from the point of view of those that are managing and operating the system, the community, the municipality. We are looking at systems that are easy to maintain, easy to operate. So there's this balance between how do I create something that's nice for people to be in, but at the same time easy for me to manage as the municipality of the city.
Okay, so you answer the next question and the third question.
Oh, I see.
Yes. What question would be interesting for you personally to discuss with the government, citizen, lighting design industry and science today?
Okay, so this is a very critical question, because I'm speaking from a lighting designer's perspective. And I'm speaking also from the point of view that we want to integrate data infrastructures, the digital future with lighting. That's what I'm trying to understand and how we can do that. And that's also the base of my lighting design of things platform. So in order to do that, we really need to understand what is it that we want to measure. If we talk about the digital data world that we're moving into, we can measure everything, but what do we do with the data, right? And I think that's a critical question that I would like to have answered up front before we start any sort of design to implement lighting is what is it that we want? What is it that we want to measure? What is it in terms of data that we're going to collect? And what are we going to do with the data? How are we going to use the data to improve the living environment of the city? How is it that we're going to use the data to improve operational aspects of managing the city? So to me, critical in the whole process of implementing a digital platform, smart city environment is to understand first of all what is it that we want. The problem that we face today is that the market is very vendor driven. That means if you talk to somebody about what sort of smart platform you're gonna create, most of the time you get a feedback from a vendor. So he will talk about whatever he can do and he will try and push his system. What we are promoting also through our lighting design of things platform is that we want to understand in an open way what is it that we want to achieve, what data do we need to collect so that we can drive the things that makes the city tick, right? And with that we can also create scalability. And I think scalability is the other thing that needs to be discussed up front, because you may not have the budget or not want to do straight away everything. Technology advances, becomes better and better. So you need to have a platform that can grow, that can enhance, that can add in elements for the future. So scalability, discussing that scalability feature of any system, I think is crucial. So having that initial discussion sets the base, the groundworks for developing any system. To me, that would be the number one that I would like to do with any municipality, any city council, understanding what it is that drives. Most cities have a master plan nowadays, at least. Maybe not necessarily for lighting, but a master plan about what they want to achieve in the longer run, in terms of public facilities, in terms of events, in terms of all kinds of things, even lighting. So understanding that, matching that with technological advances, and then having their own thoughts about how they can make the city a better environment, that creates the backbone of developing a digital infrastructure combined with lighting, because I'm talking about from a lighting designer's point of view, to develop something that people will look out for.
Okay. Next question is, what do you think about human role in this digitalization? What do you think about threats and challenges for humans?
Well, I sort of mentioned already that we are currently living this digital world in a kind of siloed environment. It's very vendor driven, so either you go with solution A or solution B, which is from vendor A and from vendor B. The biggest challenge, I think, is to develop an open platform where you can use a sensor from company A, you can get a data platform from company B, you can get the cameras from company C. Right now we find a challenge to get that all organized. The other point is privacy. You're talking about humans, right? So I think the big keyword here is your privacy, data privacy. We are moving into a world where next to intellectual property, there probably will be data property, that you will own your data. Because what all these digital systems will do is collect data from you, right? Nowadays, the moment you log in with your mobile phone and you download an app, you give away all your personal information. Right now, you have no way of protecting yourself. If you say no, you don't get it, right? So we need to have, we are moving to a time in this world where most probably you will own your own data, and for you to use my data, you'll have to pay for it or ask for my permission, right? So data privacy protection is one of the big things, I think, in relation to humans, how we're going to use public spaces. And I think that will be one of the biggest challenges, but also threats, I think, in when we design this kind of environments.
That's all. Thank you very much for your answers.
It's my pleasure.